Hi all, today we are going to discuss about carrier current pilot relay system for protection of transmission lines. So before going to this, first we will see how the coupling and tripping the carrier into the desired line section is done. So we know that the power transmission line operates at very high voltages of the order of kilovolts, whereas the carrier current signaling equipment operate at much lower voltage. And moreover, the power line operates at the power frequency, that is 50 Hz, wherever the carrier line operates in very high frequency range, that is in kilohertz range. So that's why the coupling between them, we have to take the proper care while coupling, and the coupling should be such that neither the high voltage line gets shorted because of the carrier equipment, nor the carrier equipment damaged due to the high voltage power line. So in order to do this thing, so there basically two methods are done for doing this coupling. So the first method is single line to ground coupling, and the second one is a line to line coupling. So let us start between the single line to ground coupling, then we will discuss the basics and the methods, then we will go for line to line coupling method. So this coupling, in order to do, the different components are there that are used. So this is my sending end, let us assume this is my sending end bus, this is bus A. So here let us take for example, here this is my bus B. So at both the ends of the bus, so here also one relay will be there. So at the sending end as well as the receiving end of the bus, we connect the line trap. So this line trap contains the parallel combination of the inductor and a capacitor. So this is a parallel circuit which is tuned to operate at the carrier frequency. What is the frequency of your carrier wave? Because it is in very high frequency. So the property of the parallel resonant circuit is that it will give the highest impedance for the resonant frequency, and for the remaining frequency it will offer less impedance. So because of this, what happens, the carrier signal cannot pass through this one and reach this bus, nor in the second side similar way the carrier signal cannot pass through this line trap and reach the bus bar. So this prevents the carrier signal from going to the adjacent bus bars or adjacent section of your transmission line. That means your carrier signal will be only confined between these two buses A and B, or only confined to this transmission line section, this section of the transmission line. So that's why the line trap is used. Getting this one? So now coming to the coupling of this carrier signal. So carrier signal will have two things. One is the carrier signal transmitter, and the second one is the carrier signal receiver. So whenever the carrier signal is received, the relay that will operate is called as carrier receipt relay. That relay will operate whenever the signal is received. It will close the contacts, and when these contacts are closed, the carrier signal will be injected into the second side. So here also you can see one parallel combination or a parallel circuit is there. Again, this parallel circuit is also tuned to the carrier frequency. Again, the property of this parallel circuit is the impedance offered will be very high for the case of this carrier frequency, whereas the impedance offered is equal to 0 for normal frequency. So as the impedance offered is very high, so whatever current comes, that current multiplied by the impedance, so huge value of voltage, that means your carrier frequency voltage will come across this inductor. So as this is coupled to the secondary side, so the signal can be easily transmitted to the second side. Similar is the case for a transmitter. The transmitter, whatever signal is there, maximum signal will transmit to this side because of this tuning to the parallel resonant circuit. So whereas this offers almost negligible or zero resistance for the supply frequency, that's why no part of the supply frequency component will inject into this one. That means this carrier circuit is completely isolated from your supply frequency. So now coming to this circuit, there is a series circuit also. This is called as the coupling capacitor and the coupling inductor. So this forms the series resonance circuit. So in the series resonance circuit, at a series resonance conditions, we know it offers the minimum resistance. That means the property of series resonance circuit is it offers the minimum impedance at the resonant conditions. That means for the carrier frequency, this will offer the minimum impedance. That's why the carrier signal will be easily transmitted to and fro across this line, whereas for the supply frequency line it will offer very high impedance. That's why your supply frequency line cannot pass. I am repeating once again, the series resonance property is it will offer the minimum impedance for the resonant frequency, whereas the property of the parallel resonant circuit is it will offer the highest impedance for the resonant frequency. So if you want to know about the details about series and parallel resonance, you can refer to my basic electrical engineering playlist. So there I have explained completely what is series resonance, what is parallel resonance, how they are used, and what are the applications in complete derivations and detail. So you can please refer there if you have the doubt about how to tune these circuits and get the required resonance condition. So getting this one. So now this transmitter will easily transmit to this circuit, and through this one the signal will transmit here. Again, this line trap will not allow this signal to transmit further. So this signal will transmit like this because this offers very less impedance. It will pass here. This offers the highest impedance, so it will come across this LP. And here I forget to keep it, here one ground also will be there. So it comes across this LP and this will be transferred to your receiver circuit, and accordingly your receiver will operate. Similar is the case if you want to transmit the carrier signal from end B to end A, same thing will be done. This transmitter will transmit here, the signal will come here, this wave trap will not allow to go this side, so the signal will transmit like this. So when it reaches here, this wave trap will offer high impedance, so it will not allow to pass that carrier signal. So carrier signal will pass like this because this offers the minimum impedance. So it comes across this LP, it will be received by your receiver. So in that way this will operate. So here in this circuit you can see this circuit, it is connected to or coupled between the ground is taken as a reference point, and with respect to the ground the signal is injected into your transmission line. As it is connected between the line and the ground, that's why it is called as the single line to ground coupling. So I have explained the remaining details, what is LS, CS, resonance, other things only here, as I have already explained orally, so I am skipping them. So now coming to the single line to ground coupling, we have seen there this is the simplest and cheaper one, as less components are required and we have to do for only one phase. But as per the statistics, majority of the faults that happens in your line are line to ground faults only. Majority of the faults are line to ground faults. We have discussed in our lecture number 1. So there we have discussed the statistics of different types of faults. There we have seen majority of the faults are line to ground faults only. But as this signal is mainly passing with reference to the ground, your signal is at some potential. So now during the faults, the carrier should be transmitted, because then only the fault information should be transmitted from one end to the second end. The reason why it is required we have already discussed in our last class. What is the need for this carrier protection? But now what happens, as during the line to ground fault, as that line is connected to ground, so the potential becomes zero because it comes to the ground potential. So that's why the huge attenuation will happen in this carrier signal, and sometimes the attenuation may be very huge that it cannot be used in the remote end. That means there is no use of transmitting the signal. So that's why this is used very less often in practice. This is not used in practice. So practically we go for line to line coupling. So in the case of line to line coupling, we do the coupling between two lines, and here in this case the carrier signal propagates through the air between the line conductors. So between these two phase conductors, let us assume I have done between these two phases, it will transfer in between the air in between these two conductors. That's why this is also called as the aerial mode coupling. So in the aerial mode coupling, as it is transferring through the air, so the attenuation will be minimum, and the second one, it is not affected by the line to ground fault, but this will be affected for the case of line to line fault. So proper care should be taken while doing the coupling or while implementing the methods. So those methods we are going to discuss in the next class. So here again same thing. So here line trap, why the line trap I have only drawn for the case of sending end. So same thing will repeat in the case of receiving end. Again at the sending end, the two phases there will be traps, the line traps are involved. So along with the line traps there is a coupling capacitor and inductor. Similarly there is a coupling capacitor and inductor in this phase. So between these phases we are injecting, right? So that's why this parallel circuit is tuned for the carrier frequency. That's why your carrier frequency signal will drop across these inductors. So that will be easily sensed by your receiver. Similar way, when you want to transmit, it will be easily transmitted to this LP, and that will be injected between these two lines. As it is inducted between the two lines, that's why this is called as the line to line coupling. I hope the coupling, how it is done, what is the purpose of each block is clear to you. So let us proceed for the basic introduction to the carrier aided directional comparison reeling. So how the relaying will be done in practice, so that thing I am explaining here. So the distilled principles, how it is applied or how it is aiding the directional relays or the distance relays in doing the protection, so that we are going to discuss in the next lecture. So here let us see the basics. So let us take the case the fault has happened in the internal fault. So I am taking the case of the fault. So let us take different color. So let us assume the fault has happened here. There is some internal fault. So whenever the internal fault happen, you can see the relay here will sense the direction. The relay at B also will sense the direction. So under normal operating conditions, the current will be like this here. The same way the current will go out from the section B. Agree with me? Current direction is same in both. So that's why only directional relay A is sensing it, but direction relay B is not sensing. So now let us assume some internal fault happened. So what happens? The current direction will be reversed. So fault current is supplied from both the ends. So what happens? Both the directional relay senses that the current magnitude has increased or there is a fault in this particular direction. So now what happens? The directional relay A, so at this point it will detect the direction. So here directional relay can be used, any type of directional relay or power relay. So now based on the directional relay, it will sense that the fault has happened and it is in this direction only. So now it will send the signal to this AND gate also, as well as it will transmit the signal. So now what happens? The signal will be transmitted like this. So signal will go here and this will be received by your receiver here. So your receiver will receive the signal and this will pass to your AND gate. And same signal will be transmitted here also. So here the signal 1 also is sent to this AND gate. Similarly here 1 is sent to this AND gate. This receives as AND. So let us take the case what will happen at relay number B. So now at the receiving end B, so B also senses there is a fault. So automatically this will also sense one signal. So the signal will be transmitted like this. It transmit 1 here. Similarly the same signal will be transmitted to this relay. So this relay will receive it and that receiver will receive 1. So whenever 1 is given to this AND gate, so 1 AND with the AND 1 will become equal to 1. So automatically your trip current will pass through your trip coil and your relay will trip here. So same thing is the case, 1 is here. So that will be passed to your trip circuit. So your trip circuit will operate. So here we can conclude that for the case of internal fault, so the relays at both the ends will trip. Relays at both the ends will trip simultaneously. So let us take the case of some external fault. So what I am doing, I am taking there is some fault in the external circuit. So whenever the external circuit there is some fault, this relay will sense the fault. This relay will sense that there is a fault in this direction, but this relay, because the fault current is like this, it is not in the direction what it is intended, because it will only respond if the fault is in this direction. So as the fault current is in this direction, this is my IF. So same IF is sent from here. So this relay will sense. So automatically what this relay will do, this relay will give the signal 1 to this and it will transmit the signal to your section number B. So it will transmit 1 to your section number B. Here 1 is obtained. So now coming to the B. So B has not sensed the fault. So automatically what happens? It doesn't pass any signal. The meaning of that one is this will get 0 and similarly this also will get 0. That means only the relay way will transmit the signal. So it transmits the signal like this, whereas the relay B does not transmit the signal. So to both the AND gates, the input given is 1 0. When 1 0 is given, what will be the output? Output is equal to 0 here. Here output is equal to 0. So we can conclude here only relay at A sends the signal to relay B. So AND gate does not operate the trip circuit. Getting this one? Because B is not transmitting the signal because the fault is not in the direction. So in this way we can sense and simultaneously trip the breaker in both the sides. So generally this carrier aided protection is not used independently. Generally carrier aided protection is used for helping your distance relays to take the prompt action whenever the fault comes. So those things we are going to discuss in the next class. I hope the basics of the coupling and how the basic working principle of this carrier current protection is clear to you. If you still have any queries, you can leave your comments in the comment section below. I will answer to your queries from there. Thank you very much.